You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bermel, joined by our friend and radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Always glad to be here.
And we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the esteemed Bonati Spine Institute. Thank you for sharing your time with us. And you'd hear him if he had on his mic. Well, we have a very exciting show lined up. But
hello again.
There you go.
Hello.
We hear you now, Doc.
You know what sets the Bonati Spine Institute apart from other quote-unquote minimally invasive places that are out there? First off, he has exclusive patented procedures that only they do at this institute. Some other places may try to mimic what he does, and they try to sell it and package it as the same thing. But the results, they're unable to duplicate. And we have 98.75% patient-reported success, and that is amazing. You know, the other thing is we have this thing called conscious IV sedation where the patient remains communicative with the surgeons throughout the surgery. And it's fantastic because that helps you localize the root cause of the pain. And it is eradicated. The other thing is loved ones can be right next to you during your surgery. What other institution allows that? No hospital I'm aware of.
I've never heard of that before.
Nuh-uh.
Ever. Yeah, they get the throats.
They'd be too afraid you'd see something that's not right. But we don't hide things at the Bonati Spine Institute. We don't keep you in the dark. With that said, we have an exciting show. We have Ron Hunberg, mental illness and violence. He's going to kind of connect the two and see how they're related. We have Dr. Kristen Held. She's going to discuss battered physician syndrome. And then, of course, you know, you'll hear a segment from Doc. And he's definitely riled up.
He's going to talk about capitalism today,
Yeah,
I
I
believe.
think so.
Yeah.
So we'll wind him up and let him loose. But up first...
In today's Back to Life segment, we will talk to a patient of the Bonati Spine Institute who went from living a life that was restricted by pain and discomfort through their journey of finding the Bonati Spine Institute and are now living pain-free.
Welcoming to the program, patient Margaret DeSalle of DeVille, Louisiana. She underwent the Bonati Spine procedures. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing, Margaret?
Hi, I'm doing fine.
Excellent.
Well, why don't you tell us your story? Were you in an accident? Was it something degenerative in nature? Kind of walk us through how you came to be in pain and then how you found the Bonati Spine Institute.
I worked 30 years for a supermarket.
Okay.
And during the years of lifting and stuff, you know, I guess like normal people, they mess up their bodies.
Got it.
And so I started going to chiropractors and see if they could help. And then I went to a surgeon. He was wanting to cut on me and do surgery. And so that's when I found out about Bonati and sent my MRI down to him.
Okay.
Hey, Margaret, let me pause you here and back up for a quick second. Now, you said you worked for many years at a grocery store,
Right.
so it was sort of
Lifting.
cumulative in nature,
Yeah,
but there had to have been
degenerative.
sort of one day where you were just kind of like, this pain is unbearable. What sort of pain were you in?
Well, it would go down my back of my leg to my ankle. It was the nerve.
Ooh.
And it was just, my ankle would feel like I want to cut my foot off, you know, it hurt so bad. I
That's
couldn't,
not good.
I'd have to go to work with a pain pill and go home and sit down. I
Gosh.
couldn't do no activities.
Okay, so how was that affecting your daily activities? I mean, just simple tasks that people do.
I couldn't play with my kids or grandkids, you know,
Okay.
like I wanted to. I just had to go to work and go home and just, you know, just sit in the house a little while till the pain eased up.
And how long did this pain persist? How long did you live in pain on pain pills before you said, all right, enough of this. I got to figure out how to fix it.
It was about a year I lived on pain pills, but I suffered about 2 years with the hurt, trying to find the cure that would ease the pain. Or, I mean, I went to chiropractors and they fixed it for a minute, but,
Right.
you know, it would always come back.
Got
you know.
it. Yeah. Let me ask you, what did you do? Did you seek out other doctors before you heard of the Bonati Spine Institute? How did you make your way to Hudson, Florida?
My father had went down there and had the surgery on his back.
Oh,
And
okay.
when he came back, I seen how he did real well on his, and I was in so much pain. I made up my mind I had to do something because, I couldn't be living like that.
Okay.
So me and my husband sent the MRI down there. So they said they could help me. So we took vacations and went on down there.
Okay.
Margaret, let me ask you a quick question. Did you have a procedure done prior to seeing Dr. Bonati? Did you have a surgery done?
No, sir.
Okay.
You did.
Did you
Okay.
seek out any sort of advisement before you came to Bonati?
No, just watching my daddy, the way he
Just watching your dad. Okay.
the way he reacted after the surgery and got back to his normal self.
Okay.
He wasn't laid up, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want to be laid up. I wanted to jump up and start going again.
Got it. So
And that's what it's all about. I mean, you don't lay up in bed.
true.
Nobody wants to do that.
When you made your way down to the Institute here in Florida, what was that like upon coming in? Obviously, you saw your dad with great results. Were you still a little bit on edge because you knew it was your spine?
Yeah, because everybody's scared about surgery, but I mean, you suffer long enough and you say, well, I got to have something done.
Got it.
And, I mean, that was the best thing that ever happened.
Well, and the fact that
If I would hurt today, I would go straight down there. I wouldn't go nowhere else.
Exactly. Well, and it had to help the fact that your father had already gone through a
Yeah.
procedure, so that had to alleviate some of the pain. I'm assuming he had great success with his procedure, right?
Yeah, he sure did.
Why don't you talk
Yeah.
about what it was like to have the interaction with the surgeons previous to surgery? How was that evaluation process for you? Did
It
you?
was kind of good for me because I don't like to be put to sleep.
Okay.
So, I mean, at least they give you a don't care shot or whatever, but
Right.
I mean, you know what's going on and you can, you're not,
You're
sleeping or
talking.
anything.
You're talking in
You're talking
surgery.
to the doctor, He's
Got it.
asking you questions and you talk to him.
Sure.
You get a don't care shot. I've never heard that before. I like that.
Yeah.
Did you watch your surgery?
No, I didn't want to watch
Okay.
it. They said I could, but I didn't want to.
That's okay.
And of course, you understood, Margaret, the fact that you, like you said, you didn't want to be put under, but there's a method to the madness
Yes.
of keeping you somewhat awake and alert during your procedure.
Yeah.
You understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can
they-
go ahead.
I mean, they was really important to keep you awake so they was, getting close to nerves and stuff, and they didn't want to damage nothing else. So
Yes.
Yep.
I was really thankful for that.
And so were you able to sort of locate and pinpoint that exact root cause of the pain while speaking with the surgeon while you were on the table?
Yes, sir.
And did you experience immediate pain relief, or was it not until recovery?
I could tell when he hit the right spot that it was took care of when I come out of surgery.
Yeah,
Okay.
And when I got up, and they let me lay down for a few minutes, and then they got me up. And when I stood up, I was in no pain. So
Now, tell us what the recovery process was like for you and how long it took to kind of get you back in the swing of things and back to doing the things you were unable to do when you were in that tremendous amount of pain.
well, I stayed off work for 4 weeks.
Okay.
And they told me to walk, so I would walking every day, and every day it would get a little bit better. You stay sore, but I mean, you could tell you wasn't in the pain you was in at first.
Correct.
So the soreness, gradually went away, and I went back to work in 5 weeks, and I went back to what I was doing. Just take it lightly, and then eased on up. But I mean, I said I wasn't going to sit down.
Yeah.
And so, Margaret, I assume you're happy with the results. You were able to not only resume your normal life, but
You're playing with the grandkids
play with the
now?
grandkids again and all of that
Yeah.
good stuff.
Oh, yes, sir. I got another new one on here. She's 9 months old, so I'm
Aw.
enjoying her.
Very nice. So I would assume it would be safe to say you would feel comfortable recommending the Bonati Spine Institute for anyone who might be in pain like you were experiencing.
Oh, yes. I've talked to a lot of people about it, and one of the friends of ours that go to church with us, he went down and had it done, and he's come back and said it was remarkable what y'all had done.
Excellent.
Well,
right.
Dr. Bonati is here if there's anything you want to say. He usually remains extremely silent as the patients talk. But if you wanted to, feel free. Now would be your time.
I just want to thank him for the life he gave me back and all the treatment that they did down there. They were so nice and helped me out a lot. And his place is wonderful. I mean,
we love you. We love you. Thank you for being on the phone with us. And it's so rewarding to see every patient that we treat, if we can return them to life and allow them to go back to be what they were before, is the most rewarding thing that medicine can do for a doctor. Thank you for being on the phone with us.
Money can't buy that.
All right, thanks.
You take care, Margaret.
Thanks a lot, Margaret. Have a great day.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. If you or someone you know suffering like Margaret, or if you have your own slew of problems, there is help, and that's at the Bonati Spine Institute. Check out Bonati.com. Coming up after the break, we're going to speak with Ron Honberg of the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and he's going to share the link between mental illness and violence. Make sure you stay tuned. Catch us after the break. Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden, I can cook, and I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Bermel.
You're listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Bermel, joined by our radio friend and executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Happy to be here as always.
And we have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute.
Hello.
Well, we're excited because joining us is Ron Honberg, Director of Policy and Legal Affairs with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. He's on to talk about the link between violence and mental illness and how Americans can help with reform. So thank you for joining us, Ron.
Thank you.
Now, Ron, obviously we've all seen an increase, especially of a lot of these mass shootings, including most recently the one in Oregon. We're coming up on the 3rd anniversary of the Sandy Hook and Newtown tragedy. It seems like every other day there's something going on. There was one at Tennessee State the other day. I don't think there was a link to mental health with that one, but what seems to be
sports.
Right. But the common link among all of these seems to be mental health and mental illness. So I want to ask you to start, why is it so pervasive these days versus, say, 20 years ago?
Well, first of all, when we talk about the issues around mass violence, I think it's very easy to conclude that all of them are linked with someone who has a serious mental illness, but actually not all of them are necessarily. I mean, sadly, we don't know all the circumstances or details about some of the individuals, particularly those who died in the process. But what I can say is that first of all, I think it's very important to emphasize that the great majority of people with serious mental illness are not violent. In fact, people with mental illnesses are more oftentimes the victims of violence than the perpetrators. There are certain factors that may increase the risk of violence among people with mental illness. The biggest factor would be if someone with a mental illness is also using drugs and alcohol. That can increase the risk of violence, and that's not to say that all or most or even many people who have co-occurring who have mental illness and use drugs and alcohol are violent, but that does increase the risk. And some people with mental illnesses use drugs and alcohol as a form of self-medication. So that is one predictor factor. Another factor that may increase the risk would be being young and male. That's true for the whole population, not just for people with mental illness. And then there's some evidence that untreated mental illness, particularly for a long period of time, particularly if the symptoms involve psychosis, so hallucinations, delusions, may increase the risk of violence. But why are these horrific acts of mass violence seemingly occurring with greater frequency? I think there are probably a lot of factors that contribute to that. And not necessarily ready to say that mental illness is one of those factors, but what I can tell you is that fewer than half of all people with serious mental illness in this country have access to any treatment at all.
Let me ask you something. I understand what you said, but at the same time, I think it's some sort of bigger problem here, because if you look, for example, the mental illnesses is a worldwide type of a problem.
Correct.
Why in other countries? Why, for example, in countries of European countries, South American countries, this type of a problem is not visible? They also have the same type of pressures, the same type of mental illnesses, and the population, a certain percentage, is with these type of pressures. What do you think is triggering in our country this horrendous behavior, and instead to disappear or be in control, is getting worse and worse every time?
Well, I can tell you that actually the European countries in particular, and I'll note also Australia, Great Britain, the Scandinavian countries, Germany, are all actually way ahead of the United States in terms of how they provide treatment for mental illness. They emphasize early identification and intervention. The years that typically occur in this country between the time symptoms emerge and somebody gets treated, we don't see that in those other countries. We also have our mental health system in America, for the most part, we wait until someone is in crisis before any sort of intervention is needed. With most other diseases, certainly with heart disease, cancer, diabetes, etc., there's been a growing emphasis on early intervention, on prevention, on what people can do to remain well and functioning well. We're way behind on the mental health side. In fact, it's very difficult for people to get treatment unless they meet the criteria for dangerousness to self or others, and that's too late.
Yeah, but the type of mental illnesses that they are practically treated. I am an individual who was in medical school in Europe. It's not really a situation where you can go ahead and say mental illnesses and we control this and that we're way ahead of United States on treatment of mental illnesses. Is probably one of the things that happened here in the last 20 years is we start to defund some of the hospitals that were treating the mental individuals, and they were releasing to the streets what I really think was a horrendous irresponsible behavior. But that was because of a healthcare that was changing.
Well, but I also think you're only talking about the first part of the equation. It's true that we, in fact, have systematically closed hospitals. At the same time, we haven't invested in community services for people, and that is a prescription for disaster. And I think for us to say we should turn back the clock 30 years and reopen up all the institutions that we closed is not the solution. I do think we need more inpatient beds for people. Oftentimes you can stabilize psychiatric symptoms with short-term acute care, but then we need community services for people, including housing and rehabilitative services and access to medications, so that people can stay stable. If we simply treated somebody at a point when they were having a heart attack, and then we didn't provide any follow-up care, we'd have a lot more people dying of heart attacks.
Agreed. Well, and I know your group, Ron, is actually asking for Americans to ask their legislators to pass some comprehensive mental health care reform. Just about out of time, but your closing remarks on how we should do that.
Well, there's a bill, and I'm going to mention particularly a bill in the House of Representatives called H.R. 2646, which is the Helping Families in Mental Health Crisis Act. It has a number of provisions in it that would significantly include mental health care in this country, including creating mechanisms to intervene when people may be so ill that they don't necessarily recognize that they need help, but also ensuring that people get the kind of community-based services and supports they need. There are two members of Congress in the Tampa Bay area, Gus Bilirakis and Kathy Castor, who are on the committee that has jurisdiction over that bill. Our message is pass comprehensive mental health reform this year, and certainly if your listeners would communicate with those two members of Congress and let them know how important it is to do that, we could solve a lot of problems in our communities, including the large numbers of people with mental illnesses who are incarcerated in our jails and prisons.
Thank you. Ron Hunberg, Director of Policy and Legal Affairs with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Thank you so much for coming on our program.
Appreciate it, Ron.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, it's certainly a big problem.
It is.
Needs to be addressed.
Well, if you have headaches, backaches, sciatic pain, fibromyalgia, RSD, make sure you reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute because there is help. 855-267-0483 or visit Bonati.com. Well, coming up after the break, we're going to speak to Dr. Kristen Held to speak out about battered physician syndrome. Stay tuned.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.
You're listening to American Medicine Today, presented by the Bonati Spine Institute, featuring the internationally acclaimed inventor of the Bonati spine procedures, Alfred Bonati, MD. Once again, here are Dr. Bonati and your host, Kimberly Brumell.
You're listening to American Medicine Today. I'm Kimberly Brumell, joined by our radio executive producer, Ethan Euchre.
Pleasure to be here.
We have world-renowned orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Alfred Bonati of the Bonati Spine Institute. Thanks for sharing your time with us.
Hello.
Well, we're excited because joining us on the line is Dr. Kristen Held, the co-founder and co-director of American Doctors for Truth. And she's here to discuss a recent article she authored in the Journal of American Physicians and Surgeons entitled Abuse of Physicians, Battered Physician Syndrome. Thanks for being here, Dr. Held.
Thank you so much, Kimberly and Ethan, for having me on to discuss this really important topic. And hello, Dr. Bonati, too.
Hi.
Hey,
Chris, appreciate it.
Kristen, I wanted to start out real quick because you had told me via email that earlier this week your daughter had a pretty bad ATV accident. First off, is she okay?
Yeah, thank God she's okay. And it was interesting that this was scheduled with you because I'm more impassioned than ever to address this issue because my amazing colleagues who are so innovative, so skilled, so brilliant, and so compassionate saved her life. And we've got to do something to save our autonomy and our ability to take care of our patients, our profession. And it's just extremely important, and even more so now. And thank you for asking. It's a miracle. She's stabilizing, and I hope she's going to come home from the hospital tomorrow after being in the trauma ICU and so on.
Well, that's good
We
to
hope
hear.
so too, yeah. Why don't you start off by telling us what you consider battered physician syndrome to be?
Well, just like you would look at a battered spouse syndrome, you know, you look at a pattern of sign and symptoms that keep you in a situation, such as fear or an inability to escape in those who are physically and mentally abused over an extended period of time by a spouse or dominant individual. And I have seen this in my colleagues and in physicians. As a patient, as a physician, I see my patient physicians come in. I see it in my colleagues. And I see a pattern of sign and symptoms of fear and a perceived inability to escape in doctors who are physically and mentally abused over an extended period of time by the demands and constraints of our profession by dominant individuals and groups such as the government and insurance companies trying to malign and control us. And I see my colleagues coming in depressed, coming in with all sorts of problems
Right.
and wanting to walk away from the profession. And what's happened is, as you all know, as physicians, we go into this to do our best for our patients. It's great sacrifice throughout our life, and we're going to always put our patients first, most of us. And in any, career, there can be a few outliers that are not good, but as a whole, we are an amazing group of compassionate individuals who will do anything to please and to be perfect in what we're doing and take care of our patients. And as a result, over the years, we keep succumbing to the increased onerous and oppressive constraints on us. And the current demonization, I noticed in the ER and in the hospital this week, this care is superb, but everything's locked up. Everybody's on computers, the locked drawers, and there's an environment, almost, if you will, of mistrust.
Yes.
That physicians might do the wrong thing. When in reality, you must have the basis of trust when you have the patient-physician relationship when you're dealing with life and death. And that's the doctor-patient relationship, and I think that's being undermined by government and all these outside entities coming in and try to interfere with that.
Well, let me discuss a little bit this with you. I believe very much that you are doing an incredible job, that you're trying to have a voice in this horrendous situation that right now is happening for the doctors. But I really think this is because we are passive, irresponsible, and totally unaware of what is happening with our profession. We create hospitals, and we gave the hospitals to administrators, and today we're being regulated. We create insurance, and today we're being hassled by the insurance company to pay our bills. Everything that we create something, we are irresponsible. We need to create some sort of a solution for this, and the solution is very strong. We cannot allow the government to participate in our health care. So what we need to do is we need to walk from everything that is government and say we don't take governmental insurance, period. We need to go and say you pay us or we will boycott your insurance company. I promise you, Christine, if we do something like that, in 1 month, the insurance company will go on their knees. We need to tell the government, go to hell. And if we do that, I promise you that the politicians are going to come begging for favors. We have the power, we have the strength, but we do not act, and that's our problem.
Kristen?
I agree. As a group, we have not acted. On October 1st, I actually went completely third-party free. I'm one of the less than 1% of physicians who have recently opted out of Medicare. And it's because of my analyzing and going through this, what I call the battered physician syndrome, I came to the agreement totally with what you're saying, that is what we have to do. They cannot do it without us. And, when they created Medicare in 1965, it was under Section 1801, the absolute pledge that no one in the government would have any sort of influence on the practice of medicine. They have gone to completely 100% taking us over. And my colleagues are afraid to walk away because they're afraid of losing their patients. They're afraid of losing their career. They're afraid of not being able to maintain their licensure. Right. All of these things they've put into action, this maintenance of licensure, maintenance of certification, having to do all of these sort of things. This new law that they passed under the guise of it being the Doc Fix, the macro law, where they're going to grade physicians with a composite performance score. What are we graded on? We get better grades when we do exactly what the Secretary of Health and Human Services said.
Right.
That is not what's good for our patients.
Well, the whole thing is they say first do no harm, and they're harming the patients because they're running it more like a business, and they're saying, okay, you get 3 minutes, this person gets 3 minutes. If you invite them back in because they have other problems, you get downgraded, but then the patient suffers. So
of course they do. And think about this. They grade hospitals that have the least readmission rate as being the best.
Yes.
Listen, if everybody dies, no one's readmitted.
Exactly.
Their quality scores, they're grading physicians 30% on quality. Well, what's quality? Keeping everybody's blood sugar below a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about the point that it got so low that more people are dying because their sugar's so low?
Right.
Government cannot practice medicine. And I agree, Dr. Bonati, we have let this happen on our watch.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are, and so slowly but surely, just like a battered spouse might get into that situation,
but
we
Christine,
as a profession are cowering. We've got to stand up.
Well, the problem is talking is not going to do this. I think what we need to do this is we need to organize in a different way. I am very impressed at what you are doing you are the co-founder of this American Doctors for Truth. So I would like to participate. But you know something? We need to go and have a call to the county society. In every county society, every one of us who participate in this, we need to go and tell the doctors to join us. I'm telling you the truth.
You guys should do a million doctor march. That's what I think. March on Washington.
If you don't no march or anything, what you need to do is this. You need to get the government, get on my back, or we are not going to practice medicine. If you do that one for one day, you are going to see the changes that happen in medicine immediately.
Because it hits them in the pocketbook.
Mm-hmm. If you go and you say to the insurance company, Mr. Blue Cross and Blue Shield, if you do not pay our bills and you start to go with this type of a behavior where the patient comes to see you and they need to wait for around 5 days before you approve the treatment, let me tell you this, we're going to move all the doctors from this insurance company to another insurance company who is more adaptable. You will see the change in 24 hours, Christine. The problem is we have the power, we have totally the control. We're a bunch of wimps that we don't act. That is, we don't need to blame that we are better, or we don't need to blame the government. We need to go ahead and say something clear. You need to back off of our profession, or we are not going to work. If United States physicians allied together and they say one day, or you back off, or we don't practice, you're going to see how the changes happen in one day.
Love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you that it has to start locally, because nationally, forget it. They politicized it, and the politicization of medicine is sick, and it becomes the weaponization of medicine. And we must not be pawns as a profession. It must start locally. I agree with you with our county societies, and we must take control of our societies, because these lobbyists that have come in and are working at our level of the AMA and our specialty groups are working against us.
Correct.
All they tell us is implement and comply, not how to do something different. I totally agree with you. Now, the thing is, we are, as a profession, I will not strike. I don't believe in that. You know, we need to come together. We can't do that because we love our profession. But if we're not going to abandon our patients, but we need to work directly for our patients, not for these third-party entities that manipulate us, use us as enablers. And we need to walk away from third-party and stand for our patients, and it would end. And I agree with you. If on one day everyone wrote a letter to Medicare and everyone wrote a letter to every insurance company and said, this is your 90-day notice, something would happen.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Dr. Kristen Held, co-founder and co-director of American Doctors for Truth.
We certainly need to have you back on, too, because I know Doc still has a lot more to say.
Yeah, I need to talk privately more, because I really think we need to put some end to this garbage. Right. And I think we need to talk a little bit more. I really enjoy very much your discussion.
I'll loop you two together, all right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Held.
Thank you.
Have
Take
a good
care.
one. Good stuff.
Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. Make sure you tweet at Dr. Bonati or use hashtag American Medicine Today. If you or someone you know suffering with neck, back, or sciatic pain, reach out to the Bonati Spine Institute. Coming up after the break, you're going to hear more. Make sure you stay tuned.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already, I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
Responsibility. Together with that is also ethics and responsibility to work. This is really capitalism. This is why we come to this country. We don't come to this country to learn English, to change our religion, and to participate in political systems. We come to this country because this country opens an opportunity to our capacity to work, capacity to be ethical, capacity to be responsible, and capacity to develop our own power, depending on our intelligence, our strength, and our methods of obtain what everybody came here to be rich.
I think that's the way it always used to be, Doc. I think nowadays, because this country, especially under the liberal agenda, has sort of changed courses from that into, hey, I can go to America now. They're becoming socialist. I can just lay on my ass and rely on the government to pay for everything that I have. You know,
I agree with you in a very, very small percentage.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody who comes to this country really comes with the idea to be supported by the government. Remember, the majority of these people who is leaving other countries are coming to this country with the idea to be rich, to be powerful, and to be and accomplish their own fulfillment of their own life.
Well, and to also be saved, because a lot of people are fleeing their governments.
Yeah. But
and those are the people we want here.
Correct.
Yeah, but the situation is, I think the political system is being corrupted. So the socialists in this country, they are lying to these people. They are lying to all America. If we talk about socialism or we talk about the actual party of the Democrats, are practically, when we talk about opportunity, they don't care about the opportunity. They care about make slaves because they want to gather these people that the majority are without language, without really knowledge of the country. And it's amazing to see when you go to the streets and you talk to the people about, I'm talking about the actual Americans, they're there in the schools, they're in the universities, and you talk about any type of a situation that is a political responsibility. They are clueless. It's amazing and shameful how the middle-class American is not really participating on these changes in the country. And this is something that needs to go. The ethics are disappearing. The Democrats are practically creating people without ethics. The working conditions of the individual is today practically the government is going to pay me, so why I need to work? Well, that situation is getting more and more because the people who is being gathered by the Democrats are poorly informed and terrible mismanaged. And they don't know that they come from countries that they already had that problem. And they are trying to make this country the same that the country that they are coming from. So these people are stupid, and they are not really individuals that they should be participating in any type of a vote of this country. Did they have some sort of an education of the how you can say
the history?
The history and how this country works, and some good studies of what capitalism is. More than anything, if I will go to the streets, and I will do that, if I ask the people why you came to this country, the 99% of these uneducated people, they are going to tell you because I want to fulfill my destiny. I want to think by myself. I want to have my own business, and I want to be independent and rich if I can. So what is this socialism garbage that is coming through the country?
Well, again, it's the mainstream media that's perpetuating that, and I think that's actually a really good idea for an on the street segment. We should maybe camp out in front of one of the INS chapters here in the Tampa Bay area and ask some of these people coming out, why did you come to this country? You know, what are your expectations, and see what they have to say.
Yeah, let's go. Good idea. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Would be interesting. Well, you're listening to American Medicine Today. You can watch us on WeBeam TV. Check out American Medicine Today. We're national on Bloomberg, both Saturdays and Sundays. Make sure you check your local listings. And here in Tampa, check your local listings Saturdays. We fluctuate between 7 and 7:30. 7:30 during the football season. So make sure you tune in. If you have any questions or comments, you can tweet at Dr. Bonatti or hashtag American Medicine Today. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonatti created, perfected, and patented the Bonatti spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonatti invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonatti spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonatti succeeds where others fail.
This is the first time that I am pain-free after 18 years. And it's just wonderful. I love it.
Phenomenal results. No pain whatsoever.
My pain is virtually gone. Nothing short of a miracle.
Those surgeries gave me my life back.
Already I feel like a new person.
I'm going home new. I can chase my grandbaby now. I can garden. I can cook. And I'm really thrilled. The outcome's been remarkable.
I feel 100% better.
It's
like a miracle.
It was phenomenal. It literally did change my life.
I was in a wheelchair at that time, and I left here walking.
Every single pain that I had when I came here is gone.
I'm ready to go home and feel great. This place is great. Thank you.
Everything that they said they would do, they have done, and I'm very, very satisfied and happy with those results.
I knew in surgery, in fact, I told the surgeon when he relieved the pain off the nerve.
The pain is gone. I'm feeling wonderful.
I have no pain. I feel better than I felt in 4 years from the surgery. It was almost immediate relief.
Today I am totally pain-free, which is just amazing. It's fantastic.
It definitely works. I mean, I really don't know what else to tell you. I'm happy.
Revolutionary in his field, Dr. Bonati created, perfected, and patented the Bonati spine procedures. Using his genius, Bonati invented precise tools necessary to minimize surgery, scarring, anesthesia, and recovery. So successful are the Bonati spine procedures, they consistently reflect over 94% patient satisfaction. 45,000 successful procedures have been performed exclusively at our location. Nearly half our patients suffer from failed back and neck surgeries at other facilities. Bonati succeeds where others fail.